On Friday, September the 19th, 2014, Apple released the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus to the public for purchase. And after about an hour of waiting in line, I managed to get my hands on a 16GB space gray iPhone 6. So the iPhone 6 is a pretty big deal, but how good is the phone itself? Well, in this video we're going to be taking a full in-depth look at this device just to see how good it is. So, let's check it out. One of the best parts about buying a brand new Apple product is opening up the packaging that it comes in. Apple products have always come in beautiful packages, and the iPhone 6 is no different, with a very minimalist box and very clean insides. Inside the box of the iPhone 6 is the phone itself, as well as a user manual and the charger, charging cable, and Apple's classic earpods. At first glance, at least in my eyes, the iPhone 6 looks like a combination of both the iPhone 4 and the iPod Touch 5th generation, and it overall takes a huge design leap from Apple's previous iPhone 5S and iPhone 5. Going around the device, you can see many of the design changes present, such as the power button being moved to the side from the top of the device, as well as the volume buttons being more thin and streamlined. All of the buttons on the iPhone 6 are a lot more clicky and tactile than they were on the iPhone 5S. At the bottom of the iPhone 6, we have the 3.5mm headphone jack, charging port, and the much more improved and louder speaker. Here, have a listen for yourself. Now, the speaker is nothing compared to the HTC One M7 or M8, but still a good speaker nonetheless. At the top of the device, we have the repositioned Incise camera, which is 2.1 megapixels, as well as a more flat and flush earpiece. At the bottom of the display, we of course have the Touch ID home button, which to me looks a little bit smaller than the previous iPhone 5S, as well as a little bit more flush to the rest of the body. The glass of the iPhone 6 also has a subtle curve to it, which makes swiping between different pages a much more smooth and enjoyable experience. The curve also streamlines the whole device and makes it feel a lot better in the hand. At the back of the iPhone 6, we have the much improved 8-megapixel camera with focus pixels, as well as a microphone and a circular dual-tone flash rather than the previous pill-shaped flash. And lastly, the camera does protrude a little bit, which makes it hard to set on a table without it rocking. We also have those somewhat controversial antenna bands, which actually don't look so bad in person, and one of them can be used for NFC, which in turn can be used for Apple's Apple Pay service. Apple Pay works by simply scanning in your credit cards to Passbook and going to stores that have compatible credit card terminals. All you have to do then is buy a whole bunch of items and put your finger on the Touch ID home button, and then you can pay just like that. And lastly, on the back of the device, we have the very shiny and polished Apple logo. Moving away from the design, we're going to look at the internals of the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 has 1GB of RAM and a 1.4GHz 64-bit A8 chip, as well as the M8 Motion coprocessor. Running Geekbench 3 on the iPhone 6 just overall shows how well this device performs in the hardware department. With a single core score of 1637 and a multi-core score of 2937, it scores pretty high in Geekbench 3. What matters most though is daily performance, and the iPhone 6 runs perfectly without any slowdowns or lag. It runs fast and smooth with web browsing or gaming or just about anything you can throw at it. I've even worked on a full video within iMovie on iOS without any slowdowns or lag whatsoever. Here's a quick demo of one of the most graphically intensive games available on iOS right now, Dead Trigger 2. So what's that M8 Motion coprocessor for? Well, it's actually for better tracking your steps, your walking and running distance, and flights of stairs climbed. It's overall pretty useful if you like using the health application. So now let's take a look at the Retina HD display of the iPhone 6. It's 4.7 inches and has a resolution of 1334 by 750 and 326 pixels per inch. For only being just about 720p, the display looks absolutely amazing. It's bright and vibrant and looks good both inside and outside. Despite the iPhone 6 camera only being labeled as 8 megapixels, it still takes excellent shots, and with the addition of focus pixels, it helps the camera to focus extra fast. Here are a few raw and unedited pictures taken on the iPhone 6, and you can be the judge on how they look. One of the new features on the iPhone 6 is the ability to take 240 FPS videos at 720p, and I have to say they do look pretty awesome. You can also still take videos at 120 FPS, but 240 FPS is definitely where it's at. And lastly, for the camera, you're able to shoot 60 FPS video as well as 30 FPS video, and you can change this all in the settings. Here are a few video shots filmed on the iPhone 6 in 1080p. As well as a quick time-lapse filmed using the new iOS 8 feature. So now let's talk about battery life on the iPhone 6. The battery itself is about 1800 mAh, which is a moderate improvement from the iPhone 5S's 1500 mAh battery, but overall this battery lasts a lot longer than the iPhone 5S does. I'm able to get about a day and a half on this phone with heavy and light use, but it varies per user. Overall, the iPhone 6 is Apple's best iPhone yet. It's fast, it has a great design, and some pretty cool features as well. It almost feels like Apple is giving the customers just what they want in their mobile devices, both with iOS 8 and the iPhone 6. iOS 8 feels like a lot more of a free operating system with many new customizable features and third-party developer tie-ins, while the iPhone 6 has a bigger and better resolution display, a great design, and an excellent camera. If you're thinking of upgrading from the iPhone 5S to the iPhone 6 or 6 Plus, there is not too much of a performance boost, but there is a bigger battery, a faster processor, a better camera, and a higher resolution and bigger display. But if you don't need a bigger display and all those features, the iPhone 5S is still an excellent phone. This has been my full review of Apple's iPhone 6. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.